Okay, and welcome back, students that are taking Math for Business and Finance and Math Applications. We're doing the Chapter 6 drill problems, the odd number problems, and we finished on number 9. So let's pick up with number 11 here. Right, there we go, number 11. Again, convert the following percents to decimals. Well, if I have 119%, right, that's where the decimal is. And all I need to do is just move the decimal place over to the left 2 places. So we end up with 1.19 is the decimal equivalent. Okay, that's simple as that. Just move the decimal places. All right, 6-13, convert the following fractions to percents. Round to the nearest tenth as needed. All right, so I have 1/12. In order to convert the fraction into a percent, we first convert it into a decimal. So we take the fraction and then we convert it into a decimal number, which allows us to convert it into a percent. Okay, so to get this fraction into a decimal form, I take the 1 in the numerator and divide by the 12 in the denominator. Okay, and it's telling me I round to the nearest tenth, so I need to be able to take it out to the hundredths place. So I need 2 zeros after the decimal. So 12 and the 10 goes 12 and the 10 goes 0 times. Okay, 12 into 100 goes 8 times. So that's 96 with 4 left over. And I bring down another decimal place here in order to be able to, excuse me, in order to be able to find out if we need to round to the nearest tenth. You'll see what I mean because we're rounding to the nearest tenth decimal, okay? We're not rounding, I'm sorry. We're rounding to the nearest tenth percent. We're not rounding to the nearest tenth decimal, okay? Which means if I know that I'm going to have to move my decimal place over a couple of places, that means I'm going to have to take it out even further when I'm doing this division. So 12 into 40 goes 3 times, it's 36. And of course, now this is just going to be 3, 3, 3, 3, 3 forever and ever. Okay, so my decimal is 0.833. I'm sorry, 0.08333. Okay, and then to convert from my decimal to the percent, I move it 2 places to the right, and I end up with 8.33. And since I'm rounding to the nearest tenth, here's my hundredth place. 3 is less than 5, so I round down, so I end up with 8.3%. Okay, all right, let me quickly go over that again. Okay, so I have 1 over 12. Now, I need to take the fraction and convert it into a decimal. And then from the decimal, I'm going to convert it into the percent. And we're converting the percent into the nearest tenth percent. Okay, so the nearest 10%. If I'm looking at the nearest 10%, what am I talking about here? I'm talking about this spot here. So I have to take that number out to the hundredth place over here, right? But that's the decimal that I'm talking about. So when I'm doing the math here, I have 1 divided by 12. And so I add a couple of zeros. So that gives me 0. That gave me 8, which gave me 96, which 4 left over. So I add a 0. And this is going to always be 3, 3, 3 to infinity, right? Because it's always going to be 36 with the remainder of 4. So my decimal ends up being 0.83333 all the way out to infinity here. Now, since I have my decimal, I convert it into a percent. To do that, I can multiply by 100, or I just move the decimal place. I wrote 0. There, I wrote that wrong again. See what happens? Even I make mistakes. There we go. And I make the same mistakes over and over. Okay, so I move it over 2 places, 1, 2, and I end up with 8.3333 out to infinity, but it's telling me to round to the nearest 10th percent. Well, this here is the 10th percent, so I look to the right. That 3 is less than 5, which means I round down, and so then I round down to the 8.3 as a percent. Okay. Right. 6-15. Convert the fraction to the percent. Same as before. 7 over 8. Let's have 7 divided by 8. So into 8 into 70 goes 8 times is 64. That leaves me with a remainder of 60. 8 into 60 goes 7 times, that's 56. Remainder of 4. 8 into 40 goes 5 times even. Right? So our decimal is 0.875. And then we move it over 2 places. So we move the decimal over 2 places. So I have 87.5. And since my hundredths is a 0, I don't have to, I'm not rounding up, rounding down. So my answer ends up being 87.5%. 6-17. Convert the following percents to fractions and reduce to the lowest terms. Okay. So I have 4%. And remember that when I have a percent, if I'm going to, if I want to convert that 4% into a fraction, all I need to do is just multiply it by 1 over 100. Okay, so if I have 4 times 1 over 100, and I multiply across, that's going to give me 4 over 100. And then, of course, I reduce to the lowest terms, which would be 4 could go into 4 once, and 4 could go into 100 25 times. So my final answer as a fraction is 1/25. Okay. So real quick, convert percents to fractions. All I need to do is multiply by 1 over 100. Multiply by 1 over 100, whatever that percent is. And that'll give me a fraction. And then from the fraction, I reduce to the lowest terms. All right, 619 is 31 2/3%. Now, this is a mixed number, and we want to get it into a fraction form. Okay, so in order to do that, I'm going to multiply the 3 times the 31, which would give me 93, and then add my numerator, which would give me 95. 93 plus 2 is 95 over 3. So the 31 2/3 is in a mixed number form is the same as 95 thirds in a fraction form. Okay, and then from there we can multiply by 1 over 100 in order to convert that percent. Remember, this is still a percentage here, and this is still a percentage here. Okay, in order to convert even though this is represented as a fraction, it's represented as a fraction into a percent. We're looking to get the normal numerical fraction for it, and that's why we're multiplying by 1 over 100. So we end up with, let's see here, if I know 5 can go into 95, so, and 5 can go into 100, that's 20 times. And 5 into 95 goes 1, with 45, that's 19 times. So 5 times 19 is 95, and 5 times 20, 5 times 20 is 100. So I end up with 19 over 60. Okay, when I multiply 19 times 1 and then 3 times 20, I end up with 19 over 60. Now let me go over that real quick again. Okay, so I have 31 2/3%. Now remember, this is a percentage, but since it's in a mixed number, we're going to convert it into just a straight fraction, but that fraction is still going to be a percent. When we do that, we end up with 95/3, because 3 times 31 is 93, plus 2 is 95. Now remember, that's still a percentage. Okay? And since, even though it's a fraction, all right, it's represented as a percentage. We just want the straight fraction as a numerical number, right? And when we have that, we multiply by 100, 1 over 100, in order to get the actual fraction without the percentage. We can cancel here. 5 can go into 95 19 times, and 5 can go into 100 20 times. And then we multiply across. 19 times 1 is 19, and 3 times 20 is 60. And we can't reduce any further, so that's our bottom line. Okay, and I'm going to stop here and pick up with 621 in the next video.